Hello and welcome to part 2 of Persuasion and Persuasive Speaking. We had just gone through the definition of persuasion as an ethical attempt to reinforce, modify, or change the attitudes, beliefs, values, ideas, or behavior of a target audience. And I had just walked you through the differences between reinforcing, modifying, and changing as persuasive goals. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move forward and we are going to break down the differences between. So if you know what your goal is, what's your goal aimed at? Attitudes, beliefs, or values, ideas, or behavior. Now, I'm not going to specifically mention ideas or behaviors. I'm going to link them generally to these three. Okay, so let's talk about attitudes. Now, when you are choosing to reinforce, modify, or change, when you're thinking about your speech topic, not only do you want to know, okay, am I reinforcing, modifying, or changing? You need to kind of know what you're aiming at with your target audience. So are you aiming at their attitudes, beliefs, or values? So attitudes. Attitudes are just our learned dispositions to respond favorably or unfavorably, okay? Towards stimuli, okay? So I'm saying here, toward people, places, events, or objects, but just stimuli in general. So attitudes might be simplified as just saying our likes or dislikes. So for example, I have a positive, very positive attitude toward coffee, okay? I like coffee. I have a not so great attitude toward ranch dressing. I don't like ranch dressing, okay? Which I know is weird. I'm supposed to love it, but I really don't like ranch dressing. So I have an attitude toward those things. Now, attitudes can be with bigger or larger objects or parts of our lives. So I mentioned coffee and ranch dressing. Those are not that giant of a deal. But what's my attitude toward, public speaking? As a professor, I might need to have a better attitude toward that so that I can do my job and like my job, right? So attitudes, are you aiming at the likes and dislikes level? So if you say, hey, I want to modify my audience's attitude toward, quizzes in a class, and you're actually going to argue that quizzes are a good thing, then you see what I'm saying? There you're going toward an attitude, all right? So attitudes is more in likes and dislikes, okay? So then you've got beliefs. Now beliefs are deeper than attitudes, okay? So when we're talking about the many layers that make us who and how we are, you have attitudes, then you have beliefs. Beliefs structure our perceptions of reality. So beliefs are going to be harder to compartmentalize than attitudes are, okay? So, and sometimes, and my students get really caught up in sometimes you're aiming at both. Sometimes an attitude and a belief are so interconnected that you cannot say, I'm just aiming at the attitude, and that's fine, okay? The point is to know really more or less where you're aiming with your persuasive message. So is it in the attitude belief category, okay? Your perceptions of reality. So a perception of reality might be that hard work is important. Hard work is good. To work hard, to have a good work ethic. Okay, I might dislike hard work, but I believe it's important. You see what I'm saying? So I might dislike the fact that I have to work hard in my life, but I can believe it's good for me, and I can believe that I need to do it, and I can believe that other people should. Does that make sense? Or I've had really good speeches on we dislike hard work, and that's because we shouldn't have to work hard to live a good life. The idea of hard work comes from this capitalist mentality that everyone should have to. It's just an example, okay? So your beliefs structure your perception of reality. So, folks, I've had persuasive speeches on I want to persuade you that God exists. I want to persuade you that God doesn't exist. I want to persuade you that your perception of what counts as good education is limited. I mean, that is a belief structured topic, okay? And then even deeper are values, okay? Now, usually people would put beliefs at the deepest core, but really values are. Your values are your most enduring conceptualizations or your most enduring judgments of what is right, wrong, good, bad. I can expand on this list here, okay? Right, wrong, good, bad. Moral, immoral. Ethical, unethical. Just, not just. Stuff like that. Your values are sort of they root you in your worldview. Okay, so now your culture impacts that and all that, but the values. If I have an idea of right and wrong. I have an idea of moral, immoral. I have an idea of just, unjust, ethical, unethical. And it is intimately interconnected with my beliefs, yes, okay? But most of the time, my beliefs will spring out of my values, okay? Not always, but for the most part. And to say which comes first, that has been that has been the topic of philosophical debate for millennia, okay? It's hard to say which comes first. It really is a chicken or egg discussion, and it's a great question, okay? So you've got attitudes, beliefs, and values. And folks, ideas that people hold are rooted in attitudes, beliefs, and values. Behaviors that you see are going to be rooted in attitudes, beliefs, and values, okay? So when you're aiming, if you're aiming at a particular idea in your audience, if you're aiming at a particular behavior, look deeper for the attitude, belief, or value that is driving the idea, that is driving the behavior. Okay? I have yet to find a situation that I cannot, if you're having a hard time, I'll help you. I have not come across a situation yet where I have not been able to link an idea or behavior to an attitude, belief, or value. Okay? Now, just to be clear, values are the most difficult to change, okay? Beliefs are the next, and then attitudes are the easiest. Now, if you're talking about modifying, if you're talking about reinforcing, that's not necessarily the case, okay? But if you're really looking for change in your persuasive goal, values are going to be the hardest, beliefs are going to be the middle, and then attitudes are the easiest, okay? So now think about this. In your persuasive speech, now I'm having a hard time talking today. Every day I have a hard time talking. You can have a persuasive speech on value of policy of fact, okay? And those will link to attitudes, beliefs, and values as well. You can reinforce policy with belief. Makes sense? I mean, all of this comes together. Everything we're doing with persuasion in the book chapters, everything I'm going over here, everything that's on your assignment sheet, it all comes together. So as you're thinking about a persuasive topic, think about, okay, what am I really trying to do with this? Once you've narrowed to your persuasive topic that you want to talk about, think about what you're actually trying to do with your audience. Am I going for reinforcing, modifying, or changing? Am I going for attitudes, beliefs, values? How are these attitudes, beliefs, and values linked to the ideas and behaviors that I am attempting to persuade? This is how good persuasion happens. This is why when you watch Super Bowl commercials, they know their target audience and they know exactly what they're trying to do. Okay? So that is how to hone your persuasive message. Okay? You're going to want to understand, all right, am I reinforcing, modifying, or changing? Which one am I doing more of? You may be doing more than one. That's okay too. That's okay too. If you're like, you know what, I want to strengthen this one part, but then I want to modify this other part. Okay. Just know it. Know what you're doing. Be able to understand what you're doing in your persuasive message. Don't just deliver a speech on, I want to convince you that legalized marijuana is a good idea. First of all, you live in a state where it's legalized, so I mean, maybe that would be a relevant speech. I don't know. But look deeper, okay? I want to reinforce the idea that legalizing marijuana has been good for Colorado. And what you're probably going to be looking at there is attitudes or beliefs. Because what is the perception of reality when it comes to legalized marijuana for people who actually live in the state of Colorado versus what is the perception of reality for someone who doesn't live in Colorado? Okay, so all sorts of stuff to consider when you're doing this. So that is that. Now we need to move into the next section here, which is how do I actually do this persuasion thing? Okay, cool. I've got a topic, or I'm thinking of a topic. I will come up with whether I'm reinforcing, modifying, or changing. I'll know what attitude, belief, value I'm looking at that lies behind the ideas and the behaviors that I'm seeing here. How do I actually begin to do this? That's the next screencast. I'll see you there.